Well, can't nobody see you. Hang on. Hey, hey, hey!
Daddy, I'm recording.
Back in again. Got the full wheel pulled in. We ordered a little something for it. We also need to go over a problem that happened with it the last time we rode, but we'll fix that. It's pretty easy. And we'll go over what we got. And the rider here, KJ, is going to help me do it. I think he is. He might just be recording the whole time doing nothing.
I'm making a YouTube video.
I'm making a YouTube video. All right. Well, let's get to work. One other thing, a couple of you guys asked me to go over how to do the shocks again because the video, it didn't save quite right and it wouldn't upload. So I'm going to take the shocks back off, measure them, and show you how they go back on and off. It's really simple. We're also going to take the rear shock off and measure it so we can order another one of those later because there's no real definite number on that. So I'm going to measure it, get the measurements, convert it to millimeters, and order the right one.
In the four-wheeler, right here, the bolt came off. And so this one's a little loose too here, which could make the battery fall out, which is not good.
What happened when you were riding it?
So we made it. It was like that. And I freaked out, and it turned off. Like it was like I feel like flames come out of the back of it, and like I feel like it was about to explode.
So you lost ignition.
Yeah.
Because the battery came loose.
Because the bolt came loose.
So the nut fell out of the back of the battery. So the screws came loose, and the whole thing shook and popped and cut off, didn't it?
Yeah, and this battery can fall out.
We had to push it off the trail, didn't we?
This thing's, yeah, that was no problem.
Yeah, there's no problem. So we're gonna find a better bolt and screw for this.
Yeah,
this one's a little too long.
Like the little.
That one's a little too long. We'll find a better one and we'll bolt it back in, and I think it'll be fine. We'll just tighten that one up. Should be all right.
Because that one went missing. We're trying to look.
So something you need to check whenever you're working on these, every time you ride, is just make sure these are tight. The battery is so rinky-dink in these things anyway. It's not much to it, so something I should have checked that we didn't. Oh well. All right, so for the shocks, like we did on the last one, it's just one bolt with a nut on the back and one bolt with a nut on the back. 13 millimeter here, 17 millimeter in the back. Put your wrench on the back, just so the nut don't fly off. I'm going to use an impact, but you can use a ratchet. That's really difficult to do with one hand. Hold this wrench on here, KJ.
I'll hold it here.
You just hold this wrench.
We're going to put my camera down, sorry.
All right, with the helper here. Hold my wrench for me. Come here, hold the wrench. There you go, right there. Don't let it slide off, okay?
Okay.
There we go. I mean, I don't know how much more simple that is to explain. As you see, the front suspension is now loose. Repeat the process on the top. That's it. There's literally nothing to it. These are 240 millimeters, I believe. I'll put the link down the bottom again to the shocks that I bought. Now, let's put this back together real quick. It's just one bolt. And take the rear shock off and measure it. All right, rear shock was the same. It's just one bolt here and one bolt down there, where it's 13 millimeter on one side, 17 on the other. The entire four-wheeler drops down when you do this, so be prepared. You need to lift up on it just a touch. Take the shock out and then slowly lower it back down, like I did now. So there's no suspension on there right now at all. It's completely flattened out.
I wish I could hold it.
We come over here and measure this shock. It is from the center of the eye. From the center of the eye there. It is about 11 inches. Hold this still right there, KJ. Right in the middle of that circle. Middle of the circle. Right in the middle. Got it? Look at there. Dead on 11 inches. So we will convert 11 inches to millimeters. And we will get this shock ordered. Only a better one instead of the factory one. And put it on whenever we get it. All right, I got the rear shock put back on. Like I said, it's just two bolts. It's just like the front, super simple. It's 11 inches, so we'll get one ordered. Here's the part that I ordered for it, and it just came in the mail this morning.
I'm gonna pop that bubble wrap up.
This is a Carburetor Replacement Kit from Amazon, China's on. It came with a intake tube that comes from the head to the carburetor, some gaskets, some bolts, an air filter element, and a new carburetor. Let's get this out of the pack here. I will put the link down in the description here of what this goes to, where I got it from. But it's just a replacement carburetor, only it's supposed to be a little better. This one has a much, much larger float, a bigger intake bore, and a larger intake bore here for the filter area. It's got better fuel lines. The choke is better. One thing I noticed about the choke on these is they're super floppy. They're just kind of, I mean, they work, don't get me wrong, but it's just very, very floppy. And this one is chokes on the opposite side, but it is very pronounced. Choke on, choke off. And it's got a click to it, which is much better. So what we're going to work on is taking this carburetor out and taking this air filter out and pull it off, talk about it, install this one, and give it a run.
Sure.
All right, we've got the carburetor taken off. It's sitting here. It's nothing much to it. It's 2 bolts, 2 10 millimeters. This is the needle and throttle cable. It screws off the top. Yep. That gets down inside the carburetor here and stabs into a air jet right there, and that limits our fuel going into the carburetor.
And this is the choke.
As you can see, this is dirty.
That's the choke.
There's crap all in there. It's been used well. All right, so like I said, 2 bolts. We had a couple hoses. This was our fuel hose from our tank. And we had one other hose here that comes from the crankcase and goes into the carburetor. And this is a oil blow-by. So if the oil pressure inside the case gets too high, or the crankcase pressure gets too high, it blows back a little oil into the air filter assembly and into the carburetor and burns it. This makes it be more environmentally friendly. Whatever. There's an O-ring. We have a new one of those, and that's the little plate here that this O-ring goes in that attaches our carburetor to the intake manifold. So let's get our new carburetor bolted up, installed, and hook it back together and fix our battery, see if we can't get this thing running. All right, you can see I've got the throttle cable taken loose of the assembly here, and this was the needle and seat assembly that was on it. If you see, there's a slot in the side here. That's for the cable to come in and out. What you have to do is, there's a spring on here, and etc. You have to put pressure on the spring, push the cable, it has an end on it right here. You see that little end right there? That hooks in there and keeps it from sliding out. So you have to put pressure on the spring, push the end down, pop it out of the slit, and once you do that, this whole thing just falls right off. So this is the old one. We don't need it anymore. We have a new one in our new carburetor. Also, the little cap that screws on just slides right off. You just got to give it a good tug. Pop the screw off. That screws it all together. And we have a new one all on here. So let's take it apart and put it together on the cable, and we'll show you how it goes together. Alrighty, new one's all assembled. What we learned is if you push this cable through the spring, grab it with a pair of needle nose pliers from the bottom of the spring, pull it through the slit and hook it first. Then you just let it loose and it'll snap it all back together. Nice and smooth there. You disassemble it, you reassemble it the same way you disassembled it. So just pay attention to what you're doing. Record it if you need to. It's pretty easy. So now that we got that on, we're ready to put the carburetor on. So what we need to do is put the needle down inside the carburetor with the seat correctly on there. Screw it down, put our gaskets on, and bolt it up. All right, everybody. So I got the new carburetor in. A couple things we need to go over, because even though it was a direct fit kit, it wasn't a direct fit. So you see the new carburetor, the new air filter. So the vent line coming from the crankcase to the carburetor that was here was actually overpressurizing the carburetor bowl and forcing gas to spill out of the carburetor's front end over here onto the bottom and drip down and everything else. So that had to be removed. I removed it here. I put a screw in the vacuum hose that goes to that. Second thing, there's an air idle adjustment screw on the bottom right here. I'll cut the video right here and put a picture where the screw is and how many turns to rotate it. Alright, so once you've adjusted that properly, the third problem is the throttle cable. Now, every carburetor is a little different every throttle cable is a little different per model. This one was a little too short. So I had to modify it a little bit on the neck right here, where this comes into the carburetor. I had to cut that and modify that a little bit. But you can bypass this by simply buying the cheap throttle cable kit that you can get on Amazon for like $6 or $7. I'll link that in the bottom of the description down here too. Other than that, this thing fires up and purrs like a kitten. Let's see if we can get the crank here real quick. I don't even have to touch the throttle anymore. Very good throttle response. There's a much throatier sound. I'm not sure if it makes more power or not because I'm kind of heavy, but I can easily do donuts in the yard with it. So I believe there's more torque there, which is cool. So we'll test it out the next time we go riding. I believe we'll put a good thrash to it. I also fixed the battery. I just put a bigger bolt in the battery. Check that again. Measured the shock. It's 11 inches. I've already found one that I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy 2 of them because we have another ATV in the building here. It's exactly the same as this one. We'll get that installed. It should change the ride a little bit. We'll get the same brand as we did in the front for the back. And then we'll go from there. So let's wrap this thing up and go in. It's getting dark, as y'all can see. See? All right, everybody. Thanks for everything. The views on these ATV videos that I've done are far surpassing any of the other videos I did. I believe this ATV video, the third or the second one I did, has almost 3,000 views, which is awesome. I never expected that. Yapping dogs. Never expected that to happen. So we'll keep working on this because I'm getting better content viewership from this. So I'll order the shock soon. I'll perhaps order an exhaust. Not sure on that. Not sure the gains or minuses that we'd get from that. So anyway, we'll be back as soon as we can with more stuff. Till then, guys, here's some videos to watch. Check them out. Thanks again for everything. Till next time, peace.